I think that Barack Obama has brought a message that is much bigger than race. Yes, he's the first black president, and I think that that is good in terms of moving our society forward. But I think that it's not something we should focus on because he is much more than just the first black president.
I actually voted for Obama, and I think it's really cool to see how the country has changed.
Literally, when my parents sit down as a child and told me that, I could be anything, realistically, like, you can be anything, you know what I mean? If you just work hard and, and keep pushing forward. So it was amazing. It was amazing for me as a person, especially as an African American myself.
And I'm not too much into whether he's African American or whether he's from US or white. I don't care about that too much.
I think it's wonderful. I never thought it would happen.
I think he's a great man, and he has a broad view about the world.
He serves as a role model, and he shows that it's possible. I think he will, in the long run, he'll make minorities more accepted in leadership positions because I think he'll do a good job, and I think that will help quite a bit.
He has launched an incredibly ambitious political program. I'll be amazed if he could do all these things, but just having it come out in the first couple of months that he wants to change tax policy. We're about to nationalize General Motors. We're facing enormous economic problems, and all of this is happening in the very beginning of the term of our first African American president. I think that's really dramatic.
He stands as a stark contrast to the previous president. President Bush's popularity, for better or worse, was at one of the lowest spots that any president had enjoyed for decades. At this point, pretty much anyone else would have looked like a knight in shining armor if they would have gotten the nomination of the opposing party.
It would have been hard for a Democrat to lose against Bush because Bush was such a disaster. He caused so many problems.
I suspect the most popular part of Obama's campaigning was the one in which he would argue there's no blue states and red states, there's just United States and that kind of thing, solidarity and unity, and also pulling back from foreign wars.
We've been fighting too many wars. It's draining the country. All the resources are going into fighting wars.
There's nothing wrong with going to war. I was in the military myself. I understand, why we do it and the reasons why we do it, but have a legitimate reason, you know what I mean? And if you do go out, and if you are doing it for a reason, let there be an ends to it, you know what I mean? Let there be an ends to it, like, all right, well, we didn't find any weapons of mass destruction, we didn't, or any of that stuff, so it's like, why are we still over there? I understand why, because people aren't ready to completely take it back over and everything, but, I'm pretty sure families are ready for their kids to come home.
And I think another point that is important is that people start to see American people in a different way, because nobody would believe that he would win.
I wouldn't argue so much that this is part of an overwhelming liberalization of political attitudes in the United States, so much as a knee-jerk reaction to the current economic climate.
I'm sure that being upset with the Republican Party as a whole had a factor, but I don't think that was the only reason that Obama got elected.
The way he campaigned and the way he put out his thoughts were pretty impressive.
Well, I think what helped him too, he's so well spoken, you know what I mean? He was able to explain what he wanted to do and not just kind of get out there and, and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He really made you believe that, all right, you give me the opportunity, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that.
60 years ago, segregation was okay until the court said it wasn't. And now we are facing the same issue with gay marriage. And although we don't necessarily as a society accept the fact that gay marriage is okay, the courts are pushing us in that direction, not just in Iowa, but in other states. And eventually I think the trend will continue.
Is it a good direction to go
in? In my opinion, absolutely. In 50 years, we're going to look back and wonder how we ever denied.
In areas of gender and race and these sorts of issues, it's got a history of being a progressive state. So I think I think Iowa was targeted as a test case because of the history.
I think that's an issue that any one person can't speak on behalf of the entire state. There's strong feelings on both sides of the issue. And there's perfectly good people who have strong feelings for and against for legitimate and sometimes illegitimate reasons.
I was really happy about it, actually. I know a lot of people who are affected by that, and so I think that's really cool that it's going to be accepted here.
But as far as a general trend toward liberal positions on issues like economic redistribution or like abortion rights, or what are the other hallmarks of liberalism, I don't think we can count on a lot of change there. So I have a hunch that the younger generation, people your age, are going to go into their adult lives with a huge public debt on their shoulders.
I know a lot of people who are losing their jobs because of the way the economy is, and so I'm hoping as a college student, when I get out, I'll have a job, I'll be able to have some income eventually. So I guess that's my main concern.
That's, if I wanted to see something, that would be, you know, peace and prosperity at home is what I would like to see.
It's going to take a lot of action on the part of the United States and many other countries to make that happen.
I hope they work out, and I think after a couple of years things would be much better than what they are right now.
But I don't think it depends just on the president.
It's a matter if the American public's willing to, you know, jump on board and, you know, and believe and take the necessary steps to get it done, because ultimately it comes down to us.
Well, I always tend toward optimism, and so I think I'll stick with that. Hi, Bob. I'm doing this for one of your students, and I want you to know that you owe me.